incredible pool untouched by humans discovered in the depths of a cave 700 feet below the ground. A discovery made as recently as 2020, with research being conducted throughout late 2019, comes with the announcement that a pool has been uncovered within a cave underneath Carlsbad Caverns National Park in New Mexico. What has been dubbed a wondrous pool is thought to be untouched by humans. It has a pale blue liquid with a milky consistency and a somewhat squidgy-appearing texture to be surrounding surfaces, not unlike a scene from a sci-fi movie. The Kansas City Star replaces these admittedly juvenile descriptions with a more accurate name of white frosted rock surrounding the aquamarine liquid. Rodney Horrocks, the Chief of Natural and Cultural Resources at the Carlsbad Caverns National Park, offered the explanation. This pool has been isolated for hundreds of thousands of years and had never seen light before that day. The lack of human contact and interaction could prove to be a valuable asset to the discovery. Leshagia Cave, at a whopping 150.4 miles, is the 8th longest cave in the world that we have been able to explore, and with a depth of 1,604 feet, it is the second deepest too. The largest scale of these cave networks is not unknown. In 1993, the caves were uncovered, though explorers and researchers only ventured in for the very first time in October, entering through tunnels known as virgin passages, indicative of their lack of use. Max Wishak, the geoscientist who led the expedition, posted on Facebook following the breakthrough that exploration in caves sometimes yields wondrous sights, and looking at this strange pool discovery, it is rather difficult to dispute. Wishak elaborates by explaining that the conditions of the pool in the Leshagia cave are untampered with, or as he stated, completely pristine, meaning that the bacteria growth and microorganisms could be entirely unique to this cave and never seen before by humans. Wishak describes the edges of the pool to have pool fingers, which could house the possible bacteria colonies that have grown without the impact of humans. The pool lays at a huge 700 feet below surface level and required 1.3 miles of passages to be mapped out prior to the mission. The dangerous trek involved rope drops and other rather daring maneuvers. The pool is approximately a foot in width, 2 feet in length, and several inches deep, and despite the milky, cloudy hue when photographed, researchers commented that, in person, it appears to be entirely clear. Current predictions suggest that the mystery liquid is ancient filtered rainwater that has been dripped through from the cave's limestone. At this time, the possibility of the aforementioned bacteria colonies are the only indicators of current life, though bat skeletons, predicted to be thousands of years old, have also been found. The nature of untouched pools makes them of great scientific significance. Largely speaking, the water samples are mostly free of contaminants. There is the possibility that contamination could come from the surface of the cave and drip into the cave from above, but the well-protected wilderness of the national park prevents any major issues from arising here. Alongside the untouched aquamarine pool, other pools have been revealed to be hiding within the cave network, and the largest has earned the nickname Lake of Liquid Sky. The scientific value this discovery holds outweighs the excitement found upon immediate discovery. This pool represents a large new avenue of scientific research in the Leshagia cave. There is a radio telescope on the far side of the moon. As we expand into space, thoughts of moon colonization often flow into people's minds, and indeed, various organizations have made attempts at establishing a human presence on the moon. In December 2018, the Chinese lunar exploration program sent a mission lander U-22, otherwise known as Jade Rabbit 2, onto the moon, making the rover the very first to land successfully on the dark side of our moon. The same mission, the fourth part of the Chinese lunar exploration program's Chang'e 4 mission, was the first robotic spacecraft to plant and sow seeds on the moon. The NCLE, known as Netherlands China Low Frequency Explorer, orbited the moon and was designated to catch radio frequencies between 80 kHz and 80 MHz. As the name suggests, the project is a collaboration between the Netherlands and China, specifically China's National Space Agency and the Netherlands Institute for Radio Astronomy. Astron has been working on radio astronomy for decades now and is responsible for the WSRT, or the Westerbork Synthesis Radio Telescope, and the EVN, European Very Long Baseline Interferometry Network. The NCLE allows China and the Netherlands to observe radio astronomy occurring by the dark side of the Moon, which is believed to be ideal as it is far removed from human interference. The radio telescope is going to capture emissions from the 21-centimeter emissions range, places in space that we believe are linked to past periods in the universe's history, such as the elusive cosmic dawn, a cosmic era previously unknown to us. Using the telescope, there is a chance we could examine the light that could help us understand a plethora of things about the universe, such as the logistics behind dark matter and when the first stars were created, or how the galaxies formed. The director of Radboud Radiolab, Dr. Mark Klein-Walt, officially stated, "Our contribution to the Chinese Chang'e mission has now increased tremendously. We have the opportunity to perform our observations during the 14-day-long night behind the Moon, which is much longer than was originally the idea. 3 years of hard work are finally paying off for both Dutch and Chinese scientists as they unfurl the telescope's antennas and begin this new era of cosmic science for us. Scientists of all nations worldwide are eagerly awaiting the emissions the NCLE will capture during its run." Heino Falk of the Radboud University, professor of astrophysics and radio astronomy, said, "We are finally in business and have a radio astronomy instrument of Dutch origin in space. The team has worked incredibly hard, and the first data will reveal how well the instrument truly performs." Evidently, the NCLE is a national pride of both the Netherlands and China. The antennas were supposed to be released far sooner than they were, but due to a large amount of data suggesting they would deteriorate and break, researchers made the executive decision to gather more information before proceeding. Currently, the antennas are picking up cosmic intel from an estimated 13 billion years before our time, when the universe was still in its infancy. They are still unfurling at a slow, steady rate, and once they completely unfold, we are sure to discover signals that were emitted from the Big Bang itself. As such, we will know an immeasurable amount of information about us, where we come from, and about the center of existence. Chilean tsunami scared local people away for 1,000 years. About 3,800 years ago, an earthquake about as large as any in recorded history struck the Chilean coast, triggering a devastating tsunami. In the aftermath, local hunter-gatherers began to spend less time on the coast and moved further inland for about 1,000 years. The ancient tsunami has been studied by a team at the University of Chile in Santiago, led by Gabriel Easton. The researchers have been impressed by this example of a society needing to transform the way it functions to outlive natural threats. The reason the team studied this earthquake-prone site is because the coast of Chile is on a subduction zone where one of the Earth's tectonic plates is being forced under another. Since written history of this area is short, it's still not known how often the biggest earthquakes occur and how large they can be. The team was able to date the Chilean tsunami by analyzing a layer of sediment that was dumped by a tsunami. They then studied the charcoal and shells that were on the sediment and determined the tsunami must have occurred about 3,800 years ago. The team knew that this tsunami must have been huge, but the exact measurement is unknown. However, their research has pointed to an earthquake with a magnitude of about 9.5. If that's the case, then the earthquake was as big as the largest recorded earthquake in history that occurred in southern Chile in 1960. The fact that 2 huge earthquakes occurred in Chile within the past 5,000 years makes researchers believe that the area in northern Chile is able to produce earthquakes of a 9.5 magnitude, and that the 1960 earthquake was not a one-off event. Although people have lived in the Atacama area for more than 12,000 years, the research team found shifts in the region that occurred around 3,800 years ago, the same time as the massive earthquake. The archaeological sites show less signs of habitation and suggest that people may have left the area or had limited their time there. For example, cemeteries were moved inland. This may not mean much by today's standards, but the society that inhabited that Chilean coast region placed great importance in burying loved ones nearby, indicating that they left the coast. Since many of the coastal sites had only been reoccupied about 1,000 to 1,500 years ago, the researchers believe that the area had been abandoned for more than 1,000 years, which is a long time since throughout history societies have tended to forget about these events rather quickly. The team suggests that the memory of the event must have been passed on orally or through stone pictures. All this points to the lessons that, at times, society need to adapt to natural threats in order to secure their own survival. This society abandoned everything they knew in order to survive, and now we get to study them thousands of years later. Europa could be pulling oxygen down below the ice to feed life. The fifth planet from our Sun, the largest in the solar system and owner of the second most moons, Jupiter has one moon that is making headlines, pushing forth one of man's greatest missions. Europa could be exhibiting signs of life. The smallest of the 4 Galilean moons, Europa has become a star of the show in the search for extraterrestrial life. The moon features a frozen subsurface ocean, though we believe that it is warm, salt-based, and could have plenty of chemical elements that might facilitate life. The new development is that it appears as though Europa is gathering supplies, pulling oxygen down underneath the icy exterior so that it can feed these possible life forms. It's a question of highly significant scientific debate whether or not Europa could actually have life hiding beneath this subsurface ocean. It's hoped that NASA's planned Europa Clipper visiting the moon could bring us back some more clues to let us piece this puzzle together. One of the requirements for life, here on Earth at least, is the need for oxygen. Plenty of our research regarding other life forms is dependent on the presence of oxygen or water, and discovering a presence of oxygen on Europa certainly places a tick in the column for habitability. Alongside water, which is abundant on Europa thanks to its subsurface ocean, and the oxygen we have recently detected, we know of other necessary chemical nutrients that happen to also be present. While we have known oxygen features on the surface of the moon, it has been a point of uncertainty as to exactly how the oxygen makes it to the ocean given the thick, frozen surface. It turns out that a 2022 research letter could have the answers. This letter, Downward Oxidant Transport Through Europa's Ice Shell by Density-Driven Brine Percolation, was published in Geophysical Research Letters, suggests that the iced surface might not be the hindrance to life that we presumed it was, due to pools of salt water that could be transporting this oxygen. These pools are the result of convection currents and could be the key to figuring out whether Europa is home to simple life forms. The proposed models and theories suggest that this oxygen is transported over a long period, covering thousands of years before it reached the ocean. There are plenty more questions that must be answered before this research can be considered with too much excitement, and hopefully NASA's Europa Clipper will bring forth some more questions, some more answers, and a greater understanding. But what do you make of these recent discoveries? Be sure to let us know your thoughts in the comment section below and help us grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.